Maybe now we'll finally know why you've always been difficult. My dad said that at 4:52 p.m. on Thanksgiving Day, holding up a white DNA kit like it was a party game. 23 people at the table. My name written across the box in black Sharpie. Laughter. My aunt actually clapped. He slid it toward me. Let's see if the problem is genetic. I'd spent 29 years paying their emergencies, fixing their paperwork, covering the quiet financial gaps no one talked about. It took him 8 seconds to turn me into the entertainment. I picked up the box. Okay. That's all I said. No tears, no raised voice, just okay. But okay wasn't surrender. It was confirmation. I registered the kit at 7:14 p.m. that same night from my childhood bedroom. Confirmation email saved, account password updated, screenshots backed up. Estimated results, 6 to 8 weeks. What they didn't know was I already had questions, and I never ask questions without preparing for the answers. Before I go further, if you've ever been labeled the difficult one, just because you stopped absorbing everyone else's chaos, comment your city and local time below. I want to see who's here tonight. And if quiet reversals are your kind of story, make sure you're subscribed. Because this didn't end at Thanksgiving. It escalated. 2 weeks later, I was removed from the family group chat. No announcement, just gone. The title changed from Thanksgiving 2025 to Core Family. Interesting phrasing. At 11:38 p.m. on December 2nd, I received an automated email from our CPA portal. Subject line, Loan Application Update, Pending Cosigner Verification. I never co-signed anything. I logged in. There it was. My full legal name listed on a refinance application for my parents' house. Amount requested, $412,000. Submission date, November 21st. 4 days before Thanksgiving, before the joke, before the DNA kit, before the public humiliation. That wasn't humor. That was insurance. I zoomed in on the PDF. The signature looked like mine. Almost. The loop in the L was wrong. I don't curve my L's. And the timestamp showed the document was uploaded at 9:07 a.m. I was in a quarterly earnings meeting at work at that exact time. Calendar proof. Recorded Zoom. Witnesses. They hadn't expected me to check. So I made a spreadsheet. Tab 1. Tuition help over 6 years. $38,400. Tab 2. Emergency roof repair. $19,870. Tab 3. Property taxes, 3 years. $27,300. Tab 4. Hospital bill when Dad forgot insurance renewal. $14,220. Tab 5. Miscellaneous transfers labeled temporary. $22,615. Total? $122,405. And now they were trying to attach me to another $412,000 obligation without asking, without telling me, after mocking me publicly. The DNA kit wasn't about curiosity, it was about control. If the results suggested even a minor irregularity, ancestry surprise, distant relative mismatch, they could spin it. She's always been different. She's unstable. She's emotional. Easier to pressure someone who feels uncertain about where they belong. But they miscalculated something. I don't panic. I verify. The DNA results came in at 6:03 a.m. on January 9th. I was already awake. I opened the email alone. And that's when the real problem surfaced. Not for me. For him. 6:03 a.m., January 9th. I opened the DNA portal at my kitchen counter. Coffee untouched, hands steady. There was a notification banner at the top. Unexpected close family match detected. Not cousin, not distant, not ancestry surprise. Close family. I clicked. The screen refreshed, and then I saw it. 0% paternal match. For a full 10 seconds, I didn't move. Not shocked, not crying, just recalibrating. Below the breakdown was a listed match labeled Potential Father, 99.98% probability. Name, Daniel Mercer. Not my dad. Different last name, different state, different life. I checked the fine print. Test accuracy 99.9%. Margin of error, statistically negligible. This wasn't ambiguity. This was confirmation. The man who publicly implied I was defective wasn't biologically related to me at all. I didn't call him. I didn't call my mother. I called a lawyer. At 8:17 a.m., I had a consultation scheduled for the next morning. Because this wasn't emotional. This was legal. Before I continue, if you've ever found out a family secret that shifted everything you thought you knew, comment "shift" below. And tell me your city and time. I read those, because timing matters in this story. I forwarded the DNA results to myself in 3 formats: PDF, screenshot, cloud backup. Then I pulled up the refinance application again. Submitted November 21st, 4 days before Thanksgiving. 4 days before he handed me that kit like a punchline. They already knew. That was the moment it clicked. This wasn't a spontaneous joke. It was preemptive framing. If I ever questioned the loan, if I ever pushed back, they could undermine my stability, plant doubt, shift narrative. She's always been difficult. She's emotional. She doesn't even know who she is. But now I knew exactly who I was. And more importantly, who he wasn't. The lawyer's name was Cynthia Hale. Calm voice, no dramatic reactions. I laid out the timeline. Step 1, loan submission, November 21st. Step 2, public humiliation, November 28th. Step 3, DNA results, January 9th. She didn't interrupt. When I finished, she said one sentence. You don't need to confront them. You need to protect yourself. That's when the strategy shifted. She advised 3 immediate actions. 1, freeze my credit. 2, send formal dispute to the lender. 3, request forensic review of the signature. By 2:42 p.m., the lender had flagged the refinance for investigation. By 4:15 p.m., underwriting requested signature verification. And at 6:09 p.m., I received a voicemail from my dad. Hey, we need to talk. Urgently. No laughter in his voice this time. Then came the social narrative my aunt posted on Facebook that night. Family comes first. Some people forget where they came from. 37 likes, 4 vague comments about ungrateful children. I didn't respond. Truth doesn't defend itself in comment sections. It waits for the right room. At 9:11 p.m., I received a text from my mom. Why would you freeze your credit? You're overreacting. Overreacting? To a forged signature. On a $412,000 loan. After a public DNA humiliation? Interesting choice of word. But here's what sealed it. At 10:03 p.m., I checked the DNA portal again. There was a message from the 99.98% match. Daniel Mercer. Hi, I believe we may need to talk. And suddenly, this wasn't just about a loan or a joke. It was about a lie that had lasted 29 years. I didn't reply to Daniel immediately. Emotion is expensive. Information is valuable. At 7:32 a.m. on January 10th, I walked into Cynthia Hale's office with a printed binder, 3 sections. Tab 1, Loan Application and Signature Comparison. Tab 2, Financial Contributions, $122,405 total. Tab 3, DNA results. 0% paternal match. Cynthia flipped through it slowly. No dramatic pauses, no gasps, just precision. Then she looked up and said, "This wasn't emotional manipulation. This was strategic dependency." That sentence reframed everything. We requested a forensic handwriting review. By January 14th, 3:18 p.m., the lender's fraud unit confirmed what I already knew. The signature does not appear consistent with prior verified samples. Investigation escalated. Refinance suspended. My father called 6 times that evening. I didn't answer. At 8:46 p.m., he texted, "You're humiliating us." Interesting. Humiliation was fine at Thanksgiving. Fraud exposure was not. The next morning, my mother called, voice shaking, not sad, not apologetic, scared. "You didn't need to involve lawyers," I responded calmly. "You didn't need to involve my forged signature." Silence. 8 seconds, I counted. Then she said something that confirmed it all. "We were going to tell you eventually." Eventually. After the refinance cleared, after funds deposited, after obligation locked in. This wasn't a family misunderstanding. It was timing. And then came the social escalation. My cousin sent me screenshots. My aunt had posted again. "Some daughters destroy families over pride." 42 likes, 3 comments implying I was unstable. I still didn't respond, because Cynthia had already scheduled something more effective. A formal meeting. Neutral location, conference room. January 20th, 2 p.m. All parties present. Documentation required. No shouting. No interruptions. No emotional theatrics. Just facts. Before that meeting, I finally replied to Daniel Mercer. Short, neutral. "We should speak." He responded within 5 minutes. "I've been waiting 29 years. That line sat heavy, not dramatic, just factual. He told me he dated my mother briefly the year before she married my dad. He was told she lost the baby. He moved states, built a business, had no idea. He sent hospital date documentation. Timeline matched, exact months, exact year. No ambiguity. This wasn't an affair revelation from last week. This was a concealed paternity decision from 3 decades ago. And my dad knew. He had to. The refinance submission date proved he was preparing for something. Why run a $412,000 refinance 4 days before a public DNA joke? Because he expected exposure, and he wanted leverage. If I discovered the truth and reacted emotionally, they'd frame me unstable, financially entangled, dependent, controlled. Except I wasn't any of those things. January 20th, conference room 4B, 2 p.m. sharp. I arrived at 1:54 p.m., binder in hand, 3 printed copies. Cynthia seated beside me. My parents walked in at 2:03 p.m. Late. Small detail, but I noticed. They tried to start talking immediately. Cynthia raised her hand. "Ground rules first. No interruptions, no raised voices. Documents speak first, reactions second." My father attempted a laugh. It didn't land. I placed the binder on the table, opened to the loan application, highlighted signature comparison. Then I slid the DNA report across the table. First page only. The bold section visible. 0% paternal match. For the first time in my life, he had no words, and the silence lasted exactly 12 seconds. 12 seconds. No one moved. The HVAC system hummed above us. Paper edges lifted slightly from the air vent. My father looked at the DNA report, then at me, then back at the report. He didn't deny it. That told me everything. My mother reached for the paper, Her hands trembled, not dramatically, just enough to shift the page half an inch. Cynthia spoke first. Let's address the refinance submission dated November 21st. She slid forward the forensic review. Signature discrepancy circled in red. Upload timestamp, 9:07 a.m. Calendar record proving I was in a corporate earnings call at that exact minute. My father inhaled sharply. This is unnecessary. Cynthia didn't blink. Forgery attached to a $412,000 loan is not unnecessary. Silence again. Different kind this time. He shifted tactics. You're overreacting. Families handle things privately. I finally spoke. This stopped being private when you tried to legally bind me without consent. Measured, even tone, no emotion wasted. Then came the sentence that cracked the room. My mother said it softly. We thought this would protect you. Protect me? From what? The truth? Or the financial collapse they were walking toward? Cynthia flipped to tab 2, spreadsheet summary. Line-by-line breakdown of my contributions. Tuition assistance, $38,400. Roof repair, $19,870. Property taxes, $27,300. Medical lapse, $14,220. MISC transfers, $22,615. Total financial support provided, $122,405. She turned the page. Is there any dispute regarding these amounts? Neither of them answered, because there wasn't one. Then Cynthia asked the question they weren't prepared for. When did you first learn he was not the biological father? Not if. When. My father stared at the table. My mother answered, before she was born. There it was. Premeditated concealment. He married her knowing, raised me knowing, mocked me publicly knowing, and attempted to financially entangle me when exposure risk increased. The timeline aligned too cleanly. DNA kit at Thanksgiving, refinance submitted 4 days earlier. That wasn't coincidence. That was anticipation. Cynthia closed the binder. Here are the options. Option 1. Proceed with formal fraud complaint, criminal investigation, civil damages. Option 2. Immediate written withdrawal from refinance, public narrative correction, formal financial separation agreement. 60 seconds passed. I watched my father calculate. Reputation, community standing, church board seat, business partnerships. He wasn't afraid of losing me. He was afraid of exposure. Finally, he said, We'll withdraw the loan. Not sorry, not remorseful, transactional. That told me something else. This wasn't emotional failure. It was structural. I added my condition. Within 72 hours, written confirmation from the lender, public clarification that I was not involved in any financial application. My mother looked shocked. Public? I held her gaze. You made it public when you humiliated me at Thanksgiving. Again, no raised voice. Control is louder than anger. We left the conference room at 3:12 p.m. 72 hours later. Refinance officially terminated. Underwriting closed file. Fraud notation internally documented. Then came the Facebook update. Not from me, from my father. We regret a misunderstanding regarding a financial application. Our daughter was not involved. No apology, but correction. That was enough. The aftermath wasn't dramatic. It was quiet. Their refinance option died. Insurance provider flagged risk exposure due to internal fraud review. Premium increased 18%. Their CPA withdrew representation citing conflict of interest. Small consequences, accumulating. I didn't press charges. That was my final power flex. I didn't burn the bridge. I stopped being the bridge. 2 weeks later, Daniel flew in. Coffee shop. No theatrics, just resemblance. Same jawline, same analytical pause before speaking. We talked for 3 hours. No promises, no forced bonding, just truth. And truth is steady. My parents tried one last message. If you ever want to talk like family. Family. Interesting word. I replied once. When you're ready to talk like adults. No block, no fight, just boundaries. Financially, I separated everything. No shared accounts, no emergency transfers, no temporary assistance. My net worth stabilized within 90 days. Peace compounds faster than debt. So here's my question. If the people who labeled you the problem were exposed by the truth, would you still carry their narrative? Comment your city and time, and tell me, have you ever been blamed for something that wasn't yours to carry? Subscribe if you believe receipts matter more than opinions. Because sometimes, the DNA test doesn't reveal who you are. It reveals who they were pretending to be. And someone was about to lose control of the story.